Swinging. Very common. Swinging. Very common.
There we go.
And Lucas shot 18 free throws.
Yeah, but what was our percentage?
Luka was 15 of 18, which is very good. Don't ask me for the exact percentage on that. And Lillard was 15 of 17. He shot 80.8%. They shot 77.1.
So to let you know, guys, we are now live, and Mikey is filling us in with some free throws, but this was the Dallas Mavericks New Jersey night. You see Mikey's got his. We gave away 2 jerseys to Chris and Claire, if I'm correct on the names.
Yes, that was awesome.
That was 2 guys that, or 2 people, male, female, that won the contest, because I screwed that up. So that was freaking cool. We got to meet them. They were super nice, super excited. I will say Chris was such a great person. He didn't want to get the jersey. He wanted to get a hoodie. So made him the offer to get him and his wife or girlfriend the jersey, because I found out when I tweeted that out and said wife, somebody was like, forever girlfriend. So just throwing that out there. But that was a huge Mavs win. Going into that, I told Mike when we first sat down, one of my favorite players, he's in my top 5, is Damian Lillard. I love watching that guy play. And every time I get a chance to, I'm not missing that game, because he is one of my favorites. And he did. He looked great. It was a quiet 27 or 29 points. So, yeah, wow.
He had 15 of them at the line. I mean, when you think about it,
that's true too.
I think he only made 6 buckets. I mean, he had a solid game. What a roller coaster of a game, though. I mean, the Mavericks start off a little bit slow. They're down 7-0, immediate timeout 2 minutes into the game. Then the Mavericks get on a roll. Mavericks have a great first quarter. Then the Mavericks look like, hey, man, this could be a game where, they roll. And then you get close to halftime, and then Portland goes on a major run and retakes the lead.
Yeah, I mean, it was wild, too. I mean, a lot of back and forth. The one thing I want to dive into this right away because we talked about it immediately, and that was the referees. Obviously, Dinwiddie made the comment about the referees before it went, obviously, global, however you want to put it, because it was just a big deal. My thing is, it's such a true thing of what you said to me. And do you remember what you said?
I just said, this is where they stick up for each other. And the referees are pretty much going to have Tony Brothers back. They're like, all right, you want to come out in public and say that Tony Brothers said these things? He probably did. But that's okay. Watch. We still have the whistle. We still control the flow. We control fouls. And I don't, it's a theory, but I mean, you play Major League Baseball. I played it. I mean, you start picking on one umpire, the umpires will get together and make sure that team or that person gets it.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It sucks, but it's a true thing. You make the bad comments to these these umpires or referees, they're going to stick up with each other. Because at the end of the day too, and I know it's going to probably piss off the umpire side of this or referees, they don't have any consequences for what they do. They don't get in trouble. There's no accountability, none of that stuff. They can do whatever they want. They control that game. And that's how it was. You could see it right away. I thought for sure, I said it to you too, Luka was definitely going to foul out. Or not foul out, sorry, get two technicals and get thrown out. And on top of that, Christian Wood getting into foul trouble. I mean, yes, there's a few fouls that stood out. And yes, there was still some fouls that were like, what the hell? What was that?
Yeah. You know what I wonder about Christian Wood, and I agree with everything you said there. I wonder if, picking up 6 fouls and coming back from a little bit of a knee injury and not being on the road trip, and man, was he sorely missed, I wonder if he's like, look, if I foul, I foul. But I got to show this coaching staff that I'm willing to try on defense and be physical on defense. And maybe he's like, look, if I end up committing 6 fouls, I'd rather do that because I'm showing aggressiveness rather than do what is more comfortable to him, because the Mavs coaching staff seems to go, hey, you got to be able to give us more on defense. And tonight, I thought he had a great game. Unfortunately, he fouled out with 19 points in 25 minutes. That's very efficient. I thought he was a huge contributor offensively when things got a little bit stagnant. It was like, get the ball to Wood, and he was able to get you a bucket. And
he definitely did. You were talking about it too. There was several times he was wide open, and I heard you, throw him the ball. And then they throw it to him, wide open 3, boom, in there, buckets. The one thing too I want to say that stood out to us, obviously people were criticizing and saying that there's something going on between Christian Wood and Jason Kidd. I don't think that's real. I think that is, to me, in my opinion, I feel like it's a media plot of twisting and turning things up and trying to create some bad chemistry, because what I saw tonight from Christian Wood and Kidd was a lot of love, a lot of support. They were talking to each other. There was a lot of good communication. It didn't look like there was any hate. And to be honest, you know this as well as anybody else that's played sports. If you don't get along with somebody, it's seen, it's noticed. And when things would happen, I know that last one, right when he got fouled out, he was pissed. Did you see what Kidd did? He walked with him down to the bench and everything and was making comments to him. Yes, they passed first. He shook his hand, and you could see him. I don't know if he said it, but hey, it was okay. Don't worry about it. But then as Christian Wood walked past and went to the end of the bench, so did Kidd. He stood there. Cuban was there. They were all being supportive of him. They know that he played his ass off tonight. He balled out for us, played defense. He shows that he's buying into what Kidd's doing. Yes, I know he should be in the starting lineup. I know Mike agrees with that. We've talked about it, and it's going to get there. But I think right now they're just trying to mold him and make him comfortable with the way that the Mavericks are doing their game plans.
I know it's tough to take 3 games, Derek, from what you're saying and go, well, this is it. But the Mavericks score against the Orlando Magic 87 points. They score against the Wizards 105, but they kind of got about 10 free points at the end as they were getting blown out and the game was over. And look at tonight, 117 points. Well, what changed? Well, yes, a lot of things change in a game, but one thing is you had Christian Wood. I think that this offense desperately needs Christian Wood on the court for at least 30 minutes a night. And so I think Jason Kidd's working towards that. I understand. I mean, we understand when coaches say, look, you have to do this. Or usually I felt like for me or for a lot of players, hey, you have to do this or we're not sending you up to the major leagues type of deal.
Yeah.
And I think that for Christian Wood, they've kind of put it to him. Hey, you have to try to do these things, and then we think you can accomplish them to really give you all the minutes you want and, without fouling out. I think if he wouldn't have fouled out, he would have played the last 5 minutes of this game.
Oh, 100%. I think he was definitely going to be in there to try to get that workload going, too. We got to see him late into the game. I think Kidd's starting to realize that he's putting the effort in, the work in, and that's just like to me, too. That's what I feel the same thing about Dwight Powell. I get it. He was very frustrating to watch. But, man, he's busting his ass. He's trying to make the plays. Today, he was just completely overmatched. This was a bad game for him, and it happens. Not saying he's going to be our superstar, but he's been fairly good this year for us.
Oh, unfortunately, McGee, and he didn't play. It was funny because we saw him as everybody was in warm-ups. He kind of came out to the court 5 minutes late and was drinking on a smoothie. I was like, I don't think he's playing tonight. And he didn't. And Dwight Powell has been able to step into that role and do the best that he can. What I was talking to you, Derek, which I wonder about with Dwight Powell when he made his biggest impact of the season so far. It was after he sat out the first 4 games because he wasn't part of the rotation. And he came in and went balls to the wall to be like, I'm pissed off I'm not playing. I should be playing. I believe I should be playing. And I'm going to prove to you why I should be on the court. Now, that being said, he's always been that type of guy, a big-time hustle guy, getting the most out of whatever his ability is. But I was like, Derek, what if you just tell Dwight Powell, whether it's the first 3 minutes of the game or at the 6-minute mark at the end of the first quarter, we're going to bring you off the bench. You're only going to play for 3 minutes. But I want you to go balls to the wall for 3 minutes. Because I'm wondering in the last few games if he's conserving a little bit of energy and not trying. This is where people get confused on this, where if you're running a mile, you can't sprint the first 400. And if you're only going to run a 400, you got to pretty much sprint that whole thing. And I'm wondering if we put him in more 400 situations than 1 mile things where, hey, we're going to put you in the game and you're going to play the first 8 minutes. What if you just play the first 3, but go hard those first 3?
Yeah, and I was thinking about this too. Do you think this is something where, obviously, as a guy that we both know, Don Cockstein plays a factor with this. This is the mental guy, for those that are wanting to know, the psychologist of the team. This is a time where he could kind of expose, hey, that anger that you had it before where you weren't getting to play, and then you got your moment to shine. You had that piss and vinegar with you, and you were ready to go. We need to keep that. That's the thing, is how long can we continue to do that to him? Is this something that maybe we do need to sit him out again and get him fired back up and then bring him back out there? It's just like your idea of, hey, you can only play 2 to 3 minutes and you got to go balls to the wall. Here's the same thing now. Let's keep you out. Let's piss you off so you get motivated again and get that same that fire energy and you come back in and go.
Yeah, and I hear you. And I think the reason that Jason Kidd likes Dwight Powell, and he never didn't like him, he just wanted to improve the team. And is that he knows what he's going to get from him every night. And I think that's what's been frustrating probably with him and McGee. He assumed what he was going to get from him was LA Laker JaVale McGee, Phoenix Sun JaVale McGee. And now that he's completely and totally inconsistent through about 10 games this year, he's like, man, I can't really play you because you're not really that good, but you do have special traits that I like. But if you're not going to give me consistency in those 3 to 5 minutes at a time, what am I supposed to do with you? And so right now, Jason Kidd, I think, is doing that to JaVale McGee is, hey, you're not going to play. But when I put you in, show me you deserve to be out there. And I promise I'll give you the minutes that, I said I was going to give you in the offseason.
I kind of agree with this, too, with Deathmatch and saying this. Did he got a 3-year contract, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think this was a big mistake. Like, I think he got what he wanted, just like baseball. It's a guaranteed contract. He got paid. He can shut it down. And I feel like it's been a big disappointment because where's that same guy that was in, like you said, Phoenix and LA that now he comes to Dallas and he looks like this? Like, is there
I don't
something
know.
he doesn't like here? Is there something? And he was promised to start, and he did, but he doesn't do anything. I love JaVale McGee. We need him. We need his rebounding skills. I'm okay if he averages 4 points a game. That's fine, but I need those reboundings. We need a big man, and today we saw it. When Christian Wood couldn't get in the game, Powell and Kleber couldn't hold, what's his name?
Jeremy Grant or
No,
Eubanks?
Eubanks. They couldn't stop him. So and he stayed in the game. He was 33 minutes in the game. That's a big factor.
Yeah, it's something that I don't know what the Mavs are going to do in this situation. The hope is that somehow JaVale McGee basically finds his game that he used to have and his energy and rebounds. But if he doesn't, then you're back to where you were last year, where you're just going to get hammered on the boards and have mismatches. And then late in the game, the matchups were okay with the Mavericks tonight doing this, but we saw when Christian Wood fouled out, they went to 5 guards or nobody that was big, right? Dwight Powell, Maxi Kleber, and if you want to include JaVale McGee in this, none of them checked in when Christian Wood went out. It was Reggie Bullock. So they kind of went with a 5-wing system or 5-guard system rather than actually have a big guy, because they just felt like Kleber's just – he, unfortunately, you saw it right in front of us. He doesn't want to shoot the basketball. He's scared to shoot it. He just doesn't have any confidence releasing that basketball right now. And when you hesitate, when you're wide open, it's not a good sign that the next time you get it or after hesitation that you're actually going to make it. You're in your head already going, I don't want to shoot it. And if you don't want to shoot it, it's rare that it's going to go in.
Yeah, and I just we need him out there. That's the thing. But I will say we're not going to be able to rely on that Dinwiddie going hot like that. That was amazing.
Fun,
that was huge. And what did I tell you? What did I tell you about Dorian Finney-Smith?
That's a huge three. Huge three at the top of the key. Needed it.
And I said he was going to do that. I knew he was going to do that. Right out the gate, he was going to get us the big basket. Once I saw that he was playing, he played shitty. It's okay to say that. He played shitty, but I knew he was going to come down to one basket. And I also want to give a lot of love, as much as we give him shit. Timmy Hardaway had himself a night tonight. He was draining some threes early in the game, got a little cold, but then he got it going again. Moving the ball around too.
The one thing, Derek, and I dislike it and like it at the same time. I totally get it. Shooter's going to shoot, right? And he's not – it doesn't matter. If he misses 3 or 4 or 5 in a row, the next time he gets the ball, he's locked and loaded and ready to go. And he can win games for you. He can at times shoot you out of games. But tonight he made some big threes early in the game. Like you said, he got pretty darn cold in the middle of it, but he made some key baskets late. I remember he got an and one. That was a big part because the Mavs, for the most part, the second half, for all of the third quarter and most of the fourth quarter, Portland was up by about 2 to 5 points, somewhere in that range, right? The Mavericks kept it close, and then obviously Dinwiddie hitting 3 threes in a row, your guy Dorian Finney-Smith. But Tim Hardaway Jr., to your point, was part of keeping it connected in that just 5-point or less range. Because if I think Portland would have got up by 10 with, let's say, 5 minutes to go, I don't think the Mavs can come back and win that game, because I think there's a little bit of what they did on the road where their confidence is like, what the hell's going on with us? And because Timmy made a couple of big plays there, obviously Luka having a 40-point triple-double, he had plenty of plays. This team, it's an interesting team right now. I'm happy we won. Good win. I'm wondering for Dorian Finney-Smith to make an excuse for him. He was chasing around Damian Lillard all night. And so sometimes offensively, that can kind of, take your legs from you when you're concentrating that much on guarding a guy that good.
Yeah, and when you said this too, you talked about confidence. And the one thing I do want to throw out there too is a guy that I really hope that he gets this, because Kleber, we know you can do it. We know you can shoot, but you got to show that you got that confidence. We saw it tonight literally right in front of us. You said it too. We said it to each other. He got the ball. He hesitated. It was like he wanted to pass it, and then he realized, okay, I'll go ahead and shoot it. I think I can do this. Oh, crap, here it goes. And then he shot it, and it was bad. he's got to get it going. Another one that I think that needs to really get it going too, and I know you're very upset about this guy too, is Reggie Bullock. He's got to keep shooting. It's like Tim Hardaway had to keep shooting so he could get his shot back. Reggie's got to do the same thing. Now, granted, I know Timmy shoots every time he gets the ball pretty much, but he did pass quite a few tonight. You even said it. And, shoot, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Josh Green, no jump passes today. Luka was the only one that did the jump pass mistake.
Yeah, and Josh Green, I thought what was big for him, he didn't shoot the ball well to start the game. But late in the game, on the Portland Trail Blazers near their bench in the corner, he got a pass. He was open for three. He didn't hesitate. He hit it, swished it, and the Mavs were horrible from three until about 6 minutes to go in the game. They were horrible shooting the three. But luckily, things started going right for the Mavericks late, and I saw Josh Green turn around and say something to the Portland bench. Last year in the playoffs, Utah and I believe Phoenix were yelling at him to shoot it when he got it into the corner because that's what they wanted the Mavs to do, is to pass it to Green in the corner, and he wasn't ready/confident enough. And what I mean ready, like he wasn't good enough to make that three, but he worked hard. You can tell he worked hard in the offseason. Now he feels a lot more comfortable. If you pass me the ball and I'm open in the corner, no hesitation, I'm shooting the ball. And he had a big three last night. I'm really enjoying what Josh Green is bringing to the table. And I'm wondering, because this was 7-0 to start this game, and the Mavs won, is I wonder how much Jason Kidd is going to keep tinkering with the starting lineup. And then to your point, Reggie Bullock real quick. I guess you just have to keep playing them until the new year. And you're just going to have a really bad offensive player until we get to around Christmas. I hope it changes. I think it will, like in January, but I hope it changes earlier. I hope we get to Thanksgiving and he starts draining more shots.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, these guys, it was the same way. We talk about this every time. It was the same way last year. You started off slow. Mavs, to me, I feel like, and look like, a way better team than they were last year. That's just my opinion. But this was a perfect team to play against that literally is the same thing as the Mavericks. Everything goes through Damian Lillard. Just like for the Mavericks, everything goes through Luka. And we saw it. And the thing is, Portland was doing a much better job of having guys wide open where we did not. We struggled a little bit with that. Grant, for instance, had an unbelievable game. He had 37 points. He was left wide open every single time. You can't have that. That's something that stands out. Now, granted, the lineup that you said that we should start doing, I think it was Bullock, Dorian.
No. I'll start it. You want me to say it?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
So I would like to see this as the starting lineup, if I could tinker with it, is it would be Luka, Dinwiddie, Green, Finney-Smith, and Wood.
See, I like that. I think that would be good.
You have three ball handlers somewhat to start the game. Josh Green, he's not a great ball handler, but he is a ball handler. You have Dorian Finney-Smith, great defensive player. You're giving, Green out there, like, hey, he's a good defensive player too. Wood is out there as an offensive guy. And then you still do have an offensive weapon off the bench. Tim Hardaway Jr. is still a major offensive weapon. And you have Powell and you have Kleba, also coming off the bench. And now Reggie Bullock comes off the bench. And I'm not saying don't play Reggie Bullock. I'm just saying when they signed him, he wasn't a starter last year to start the year. That progressed into a starter. So it's not like, oh, hey, Reggie, we're going to bring you off the bench for 24 minutes instead of start you for 30 minutes. I mean, that's what you signed him for. It's just that through his good games that he had last year in January and beyond, he became a starter. And because of the injury of Tim Hardaway Jr., I need to point that out. Really, he became a starter because Tim Hardaway Jr. got hurt, and he did a great job when he had to do it. So, I think there's still more tinkering to do with the starting lineup and a lot more tinkering to do with the last 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah, and I mean, they looked really good. It was a big roller coaster of a match. Obviously, like we said, this is a good team. We can't take anything away from Portland. They move the ball well. They shoot the ball well. They have a solid team. The one thing that we didn't get to see, and I was kind of shocked, I think he's hurt, though, is Gary Payton is on that team. Gary Payton Jr.?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He's on that team.
And
That's a big one.
And Nurkic, who, you talk about our rebounding deficiency. I mean, just think if they put that big, guy in there, what it could be. So it's the thing. Either they got to figure out if JaVale McGee can play on this team or not for 12 minutes. And in those 12 minutes, you need 6 or 7 rebounds. You need good defense where a team is uncomfortable finishing at the rim. It's not happening at all so far. But if you don't believe it's going to happen by the time you get to January, that McGee's a nothing player, then you have to look around the NBA and see if you can find something that can help you out in that aspect. Because I think to take it to another level, if the Mavs are going to win it all this year, got to take a little bit more pressure off of Luka. Ball's got to move a little bit more, and for the ball to move a little bit more, you need one more ball handler on this team through trade. Mike Conley Jr., Jordan Clarkson, those are 2 guys in Utah that I think are available. And then you might need another big guy if JaVale McGee is a nothing player.
Yeah, we got to do something about the guys that are on the bench too. I mean, I'm not even going to get into them. I'll leave that one out, but. The other thing that stands out that we do need to discuss as well, Luka with the triple-double for the night. You called it right away. I think it was in the first quarter. Once he came out of the game, he already had, 5 rebounds and 6 assists, or the other way around?
When he had that, he had 14. You don't have to worry about points. But I was like, oh, yeah, this looks like a triple-double thing happening. And in the end, he barely got that last assist late in the game. But, Jason Kidd said it Thursday. Obviously, you had an awesome night at Lava Cantina and raising money for 60feet6.org. And Jason Kidd said, we can't keep doing this. He'll be dead by Christmas if we put this much on Luka. And Luka said he was tired after that Washington game. And that's not a good sign if you're 10 games into a season and your guy's like, I'm really fatigued right now. Luckily, I guess with the 2 nights off, felt rejuvenated back at home, but there's got to be less put on Luka's plate.
Yeah, I mean, they got to try to mimic what Portland does with the moving the ball away, the way that they do. That's something that we need. We need that for sure.
I was told this, Derek. I think the audience will like this. I'm not saying like this trade, but this is the Mavericks thinking. They are looking into Ben Simmons, and they need to know this is a Donnie Cockstein deal. Is that because he's a very good ball handler, a good passer, he is a good rebounder, great defender. They need to know if he comes to Dallas, can he be what they see him as is the new Draymond Green, if he can mentally get over the block and then mentally want to play basketball. That's a lot to ask. And I'm not saying they're going to trade for him, but I've heard that the Mavericks are having discussions, not strong discussions, not trading for him tomorrow, but do we think we could get Ben Simmons right mentally and he could become our Draymond Green to take the ball out of Luka's hands some?
I don't want to take that risk. I like it. I like what you're saying, but my biggest fear is you get him here, you spend all that time trying to do it, but you don't gain any ground. That's a tough thing to crack. The
thing is too is he's on a 3-year contract, so if you trade for him, you're
eating that.
He's here. He's not going anywhere.
And I just don't want to spend that. I'd rather spend time on getting something that I know we can get him here and it's going to work. One of the things that Jay Dawson is saying in here, he said it multiple times, KD. He really wants Kevin Durant. Somebody else, but I don't think we have enough to get him. I don't know if I'd really want KD here. If we were really going that route, somebody that's creating a lot of issues, though, and that's the tough part, and people aren't going to like me saying it, but Kyrie Irving, I would just take him and just kind of let that go. It's going to be a tough one, but it's just certain things. Or
Jason Kidd is one of his idols. That would be one thing possibly working for you, is that Kyrie grew up, his favorite player growing up was Jason Kidd. I don't know if that would help in this situation. Obviously, he worries me in a lot of ways. I don't want to get too far into it. But the thing about Kyrie, which is different from Ben Simmons, one is he's on a 1-year contract. So if it doesn't work out, you're rid of them. Same thing with Russell Westbrook. If you were to trade for Russell Westbrook and it didn't work out, hey, it didn't work out, but we opened up $40 million approximately of cap space to go sign players in the offseason. And then with Ben Simmons, to your point, it's tough because you are taking a guy who's on a long-term contract, so you better be right if you're going to get him. KD real quick, I don't think we can compete in the KD market because the Mavericks only have to trade their 25, 27, and 29 first-round picks. And then KD's a short-term player. Remember, he's getting close to 40. So maybe you win a championship this year or next year. How much does KD have left after he hits 38 or 39 years old? Most humans don't have anything left. Dirk, unbelievable. Dirk didn't have much left at 38, 39 years old. Then all of a sudden, you traded everything you had in this organization to get KD, and now he's done, and you don't have any first-round picks.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't like that's my big thing is I don't want to lose that. You know, I want to try to hold on to those first picks. Let's try to get somebody that's not that old, I should say. I do like your Michael Conley pick though. I like that a lot. He's definitely a good ball handler. He can help. There's got to be some kind of option. We got to get something because we need help ball handling. That was one thing I do remember you getting upset about. We didn't really say too much about it, but it was just talking about, man, we can't do the ball handling. We're making too many mental mistakes outside of Luka and Dinwiddie.
Yeah, and luckily tonight it didn't bite us in the butt because the ball rotated to Dinwiddie and he made all 3 threes there late in the game. And then Luka, I think it was Luka, maybe it wasn't. I can't remember who made the last pass, but when they set up Dorian Finney-Smith for a wide open 3 at the top of the key. But the ball needs to move more for the Mavs. I think there is too much dribbling on this team, led by Luka, and then Dinwiddie dribbles a lot too. And those are the guys that have the ball in their hands primarily. I'd love to – you played basketball, Derek.
Oh, yeah.
Even the first 6 seconds of the shot clock, if you just make 2 passes, those passes don't even have to be really like a pass that like, I'm giving you the ball, score now. It's just like, no, you touch the ball, and we're moving the ball. The ball is moving. The defense is now like, hey, the ball's moving a little bit. They can't just sit and go, the ball's at the top of the key for the next 5 seconds until Luka decides what he wants to do with it. I just love to see the ball move a little bit more early in the shot clock. And, hey, you get down to 10 and you don't like what you got, give it to Luka at the top of the key. 10 seconds is plenty of time for him to dance.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's just tough because we need something. We need the insurance there to help with Luka. Again, it's like I said too, we're not going to get that same thing from Dinwiddie. I love Dinwiddie. I think he's great, but it's a lot tougher to see him do that again. Making those threes in that situation. Granted, we had an off night from Dorian Finney-Smith, which, like you said, he was chasing Lillard around. Bullock's going to get his shot gone once we get to January, but hopefully we can find it sooner. Maybe when he sees me in that Grinch suit, we'll be all right. But we need some help bad. I love Powell. I hope he continues to get things going like he did when he first was getting back in there. But gosh, we need something. Kleber, get the confidence up. Trust your shot. Believe in yourself, buddy. I feel like we need to go in there and have a motivational speaker for him.
Go sleep with Donnie Cockstein. And not sleep with him, hang out with him a lot. Have a lot of conversations with Donnie.
That's the big thing. But I'm really starting to question, as much as I love JaVale McGee, I'm really questioning this signing now.
Because I didn't care for it at the time, Derek. I was like, oh man, we're going down the old veteran stable route. I thought they were much better younger players, but they didn't have the NBA experience or the NBA championship rings, but I was just like, I'd rather get a 25-year-old than a 35-year-old, but they went down the 35-year-old route.
Well, that's the thing, too. I like this question from Bravo One. He said, do you think JaVale was a signing for matchups in the playoffs? Is that something that we're doing, though? Are we going to look ahead to the playoffs? Because that's tough. You can't sit here and have that expectation. I mean, obviously the expectations are, yes, we're going to the playoffs. We're going to make it. But you can't just sign a guy that's only going to be there for the playoffs. How does he get momentum? How does he get any, improvements during the season?
Well, I think it's a good question, and my question back would be, name me the player in sports that they're like, you know what? really bad in the regular season. In fact, looks like he doesn't even belong in the league. But man, come playoff time, is he good?
Yeah, and that
doesn't happen.
I mean, if that's the case, okay, then I'll quickly eat my words. But right now, this does not look good. And is it really a trade chip? We can't say it's a trade chip. He's not doing shit to become any trade value.
Right. You would throw him in that his salary's not high enough that teams would be like, oh my God. That's why I threw out the other day on the radio. I'm not saying 100% do this, but LA Lakers are 2-10. I mean, a guy who does rebound a lot and who does handle the ball a lot is Russell Westbrook. And if you were to trade Tim Hardaway Jr., Davis Bertans, and JaVale McGee, and you'd say, well, why would the Lakers want that? Well, they need floor spacers. They don't have three-point shooters. So you're saying we're giving you 2 3-point shooters in Bertans, and we're giving you Tim Hardaway Jr. And 2 years ago when you won the championship, JaVale McGee was your starting center. So you can take those 3 players, get Russell Westbrook. If it doesn't work out, Russell Westbrook's off your books, and next year you have $35 million of cap space.
Yeah, but do you think – because I feel like the Lakers just want to dump him anyway. So I feel like you may be able to get him for cheaper than that.
Yeah, well, you have to get to $40 million of salary. You have to match. You have to get close to matching salary, and he makes over $40 million.
I know you're going to hate my take on this, but I don't want to get rid of Hardaway.
Okay, I understand that. I mean, I'm not. I think. Would you say you don't want to get rid of Hardaway for that risky of a player?
Yes.
Like if I said, "Hey, we're trading Hardaway for Zach LaVine," would
yes.
Like,
yeah, 100%.
Right,
and I love Hardaway. Look, he's a Michigan guy. He's what I love, but I would do that. Yes. But I think, what about couldn't we do Kleba, Powell?
It worries
McGee.
me giving that many. We better get a big guy back if we're giving up all of our big guy depth.
Shit, you're right. Get your boy Campazzo out there.
Yeah, man. He makes $1 million. He gives good fives.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, your Michigan love, I love going to games with you. But if you're going to say the Mavericks need Trey Burke every 5 minutes, I'm just going to, I don't know.
Whoa. There's no Trey Burke. He's gone. I do like him, though. He was good at Michigan.
And he had his moments with the Mavericks. And what I mean by that is he had some big moments with the Mavericks. I'm teasing you because when Trey Burke and Tim Hardaway Jr. were on the court, it goes back to like their Final Four run.
Hey, wait, who's Bam? B-A-M.
Bam Adebayo?
They put Powell, Maxey, and Timmy Hardaway for Bam.
Miami wouldn't do that.
And, okay, I do want to say this. Like, I don't understand why people wouldn't like the Westbrook idea. He needs out of L.A. He is a good player. He really is. He would help a lot. He can control the game, and he would be perfect. Now, I don't know if he's already coming off the bench with L.A., so I think he would be fine with coming off the bench here and be good to go.
Yeah, it's a thought. I mean, the thing is there's a risk reward there, and if it doesn't work out, let's just say you lose all those guys. Well, in the off season, I'm not saying you're going to go get, I don't know, Ja Morant. Like, you're not getting him, and he's not even a free agent. But I'm not saying, like, because the Mavericks have been burned on, they're getting LeBron in 2008, or they're getting, whoever, at one point, Dwight Howard and Darren Williams, or Chris Paul, or whoever. And, we're 0 for 100. But if you were to open up that $34 million, if Russell Westbrook doesn't work out, you could add a Miles Turner to your team in the offseason. You could add a guy like Dylan Brooks in the offseason with that money. So you would be replacing the 3 guys you traded away. It just might take you till the offseason to get that extra guy. But if Russell Westbrook were to work out, and I'd put it at a 33% chance. I mean, I'm not putting it at a high percentage, but if he were to work out, that would be 1, a ball handler, 2, a scorer, 3, a rebounder, and you struggle. And in a weird way, he's 6'4", but I mean, he grabs 6 to 8 rebounds a night still.
Yeah,
I mean, who else is grabbing that for us?
Luka. But I think that would be perfect. I think this. You've played sports as well. Sometimes you just got to get out of that scenery. I could give a good example. You get A guy like Joey Gallo, who was doing fairly well here, okay, goes to New York, and that media and everything there, that market just crushed him. And I think this is that same situation.
Let me to give you an example, and I know this is very high, but Russell Westbrook's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yes, he's good.
Not bad. Bad's not the right term. But Justin Verlander had become just above average in Detroit. And then they sent him to Houston because he didn't like his situation in Detroit anymore. He was on a team that was rebuilding. They weren't competing anymore for a playoff spot. And they traded him to Houston. And then all of a sudden, he added 3 miles an hour to his fastball, and he became one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball all again because he liked his situation.
Well, also, too, don't forget, some of these super teams don't work out.
Sure.
So that's the other thing that plays in is you got too many guys that are wanting to do the exact same thing. They want to take that last second shot. They want to be the guy that's there. They want to be the leader. That's kind of how it is. Like that's what makes it tough for that. And that's why I feel like if he's a guy you said 30%, I would go even higher. I would say 40% at least that it works.
I like that. And the one thing that I want to leave tonight with is I know the Mavs aren't playing their best basketball. I mean, a horrible 2-game road trip. But when you look at the Western Conference, nobody looks like the Milwaukee Bucks the way that they're looking in the Eastern Conference. Yes, Denver looks good. Golden State looks horrible. Phoenix is surprisingly better than I thought when you played them opening night. But they're still – you just beat them in the playoffs last year. They didn't add anything. They lost things. I mean, they do have Pubes on the team, which was funny. I was watching a Phoenix Suns game the other night, and my 14-year-old son says, "Hey, Pubes is in the game." So my 14-year-old is calling a guy on the Phoenix Suns Pubes. And I'm like, it's funny, but I might have not should have thrown that out there. But when you really look at the Western Conference, Portland's off to a really good start. Utah's off to a really good start. You've played Portland. You played Utah. You beat them both. So the West is open, and I think that's when I look at trades. I look at because I don't think, even though this team isn't complete, they're good enough if they add the right piece or two to this that they could maybe make a run and make it to the finals.
Yeah, and we still, like you said, we still haven't seen the great Mavs basketball. It's always going to be a process, getting that chemistry. You got some new faces here. It's all going to come together. I love the way it's working right now. I do. I agree with you. It's an easy chance for them to jump up there and be fine. I mean, the big thing, too, is that we're seeing them get themselves out in front. Tonight, their biggest lead was 16 points. The lead against Phoenix, when they played against Phoenix, was 20 points. I mean, I forget. They had a huge lead against Memphis, but they ended up beating them pretty good.
Well, they had Oklahoma City's one of the worst losses in NBA history when they were up by 16 with under 4 minutes to go.
So I mean, it's all there. So we're seeing their true potential eventually come. Or I'm sorry, not their true potential, but we're seeing that they're starting to come together and piece it together. Yes, they're getting these leads. They're continuing to slowly figure it all out to how to keep that lead. Now tonight, yes, it was a roller coaster. This is a very good team too. You can't sleep on them. I mean, they are number 3 in the West right now.
Yeah, that's a better team than I thought, watching them. And, you add Nurkic and you add Gary Payton Jr. to that. That's a tough team.
Yeah, no doubt. But I want to close it out because the Adesanya fight is coming on. They're about to do the announcements. A huge win for the Mavs, by the way. The next game I need to take a look here is...
Got a homestand. I know that.
Yeah, they are home for a little bit. It's the Clippers on 11/15, which is 3 days from now. So Tuesday, me and Mikey B will probably be there again because it seems like that's who I'll be going with every time. But that'll be the Clippers. Once they go back on the road, guys, I will promise you this. The next road game, as long as it's a West Coast game, we're up at night. There will be another jersey giveaway. It was awesome to see Chris and Claire win the jerseys today and the sweatshirt. So very grateful for you guys being in here. So continue to keep showing that love here. Again, a nice Mavs win. Mikey?
Thanks. It was a blast. I had a blast.
That was a good one.
Got a jersey too, man. Thank you.
No problem. Mavs win. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. You guys have a good night. Enjoy this fight. Bye, Mike.
Bye-bye. Have fun.
Oh, I'm going.